Hello, all. Welcome tonight. FMA discussion, episode 61. We are featuring Nick Drossos. Hi, sir. How are you?
Dean, what's going on, my man? Very good yourself.
Hey, good. No, I want to thank you for coming on. I know we were trying to do this, and we were kind of bouncing back and forth. The COVID situation, your clients coming back, and no, I know you're really busy, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dean, for having me on the show. And
Yeah, yeah.
we talked a little bit about knife defense, which we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, yeah. So even though you're not quote unquote Filipino martial arts and all that, I still think what you're doing is extremely relevant and all that, and that's why I brought you on. But before we get into all that, I've heard some regarding Canada. So what's the current COVID situation in Canada? Like, what are the do's and do nots? What's going on up there?
well, we're forced to wear a mask in public places when anything that's closed. So if you shopping mall, wherever you go,
Mhm.
pretty much restaurant, you got to wear a mask. You don't need a mask when you're out in public. I was in the U.S. When I came back, I had to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Mm.
From what I heard, the cases are going up, so they're talking about having another lockdown soon. That's what I
Uh,
heard. So I think it's a whole worldwide type of it's a pandemic. Obviously, I sometimes question, and I was talking to this with a friend today. It's kind of like in self defense. We say the level of threat and force must parallel,
mm.
and I say to myself, is a level of threat and response, does it parallel?
That is
And I,
an incredible point. Wow,
and
man.
that to me, I tell you, it's not that it's not real. It's real, but it's like I sneeze or there's, I don't know, a match burning in a corner, and I have to like call the fire department and lock down my whole
Yeah, I
building.
know.
That's the question that I'm and I look at it from a
No,
self defense perspective, right?
that's
A guy
incredible.
pushes you, and I turn around and I pull out a gun or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's the same. And
That's I think that's so profound what you just brought up. Right. I mean, are we like does the what we're currently doing to kind of like mitigate like all us getting whatever it doesn't warrant what's currently going on. I mean, to me that's
is
excellent.
it parallel a little bit more or less? I think it's completely like there's a fear here, and our response is completely the opposite way,
No, no. Like
and it doesn't.
I don't know if you're familiar with Connecticut. We're kind of right by New York and just below Massachusetts, where you were recently. And our numbers in Rhode Island are really low. But you wouldn't know that by like our governor. I mean, it's just all this, and we've had low numbers for quite some time now. So again, it doesn't really justify what he's talking about. Like he wants everybody masked up till like February, but like much to your point, it doesn't jive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you could, people could only take so much of it, right? After a while, we start, people start losing, their nerves, right? Because there's only
Yeah,
so much we could try to control or suppress
yeah,
what's our inner instincts, and we are social beings. We need to go out
yeah,
and
yeah.
communicate and be with people and
Yeah, I
do.
feel sorry for the elderly or people who can't get out, and not only that, small businesses are getting crushed. They're just getting crushed. I mean,
it, it
and
it's
it's like
it's
that's
unbelievable, and that's what I'm saying, is that we're destroying an entire economy for a 0.001 percentage of people who may die from it, right? So quarantine those who,
mm,
if I was high risk, I should quarantine myself, but not my whole street doesn't need to be quarantined because I might get sick. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's so
no.
like, I
I
mean,
mean,
I'm trying to
this
see
is
it. I'm
yeah.
trying to see it every, like, it's killing an
No,
economy, and it's hard. Like, I know gym owners, I know martial art owners, they're all
mm,
suffering because of it.
oh no, schools are closing. Oh yeah, no, 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 schools are closing. I know. Hopefully, this is gonna end soon, and yeah, I mean, who would have guessed, middle of March that we would still be dealing with this some 6 months later,
But we're going to be in this for at least a year to 2 years,
Yeah,
that's for
I
sure.
don't. Well, in the United States, depending on who gets elected, I think potentially the numbers will mysteriously
disappear. But then you have the vaccine, and then you're gonna
yeah.
have people who are not gonna want to get vaccinated, and then
I
they're gonna
know.
force
No,
them.
I mean, like again, like I was telling somebody, I don't know if we've seen the worst yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
You know, but before all right. So I want to get to it because the reason why I brought you on here, it was a video. Gosh, it was some years ago. But before we get into all that, I just the viewers who are watching, why I brought you on here because you were doing something I thought was really incredible as far as, and we're going to get to this more in detail, is your approach on it being against knife and all that. But before we get into all that, I just want just to get a little of your background before we jump into the main agenda there. Before I just want to go. What is your background initially? Like obviously some type of martial arts. Would you start doing?
I studied many years. Like I started very young. I started doing kung fu. Right, I did some kung fu for a few years, good 2 or 3 years. I did some taekwondo. I did some, then I did some boxing, some kickboxing. I trained at another gym where I got to just basically play around with different systems
Mm,
without really. I, I I never, and I say it openly, I don't have any black belts. I never got into so much the importance of. I learned different systems. I trained with different instructors. I picked up what I liked and I just kept moving. It's kind of the way that
yeah.
I learned, right? Then I did the boxing, the kickboxing, the Thai boxing. But my real true experience really came when I started working in clubs, right? When I started working in clubs and security,
Okay. Okay.
that's when I started being like, okay, now I could start putting, what actually, it was a, it was a quick eye opener to what worked and what didn't work.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean,
Because you're seeing like reality.
yeah, like I'm doing these scenarios and I'm training with these instructors. Next thing you know, you're in a real fight and you realize, okay, the pressure point I learned, there's no way I can find it or see it.
Mm,
There's certain
mm.
moves or techniques that make sense that you'll never do and won't be able to pull off in full speed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm seeing fights happen and guys get stabbed, and I'm like, okay, the guy didn't pull out the knife and wave it at me, and square off with me with a knife fight.
Yeah. Like in a dueling
Like
scenario.
a dueling, right? We knew somebody got stabbed. We didn't know who got stabbed, right?
Mm.
So a lot of my experience, and that's really where it all kind of came together for me. I did train with the last 5 years with a pro MMA fighter, where I worked strictly on my MMA skills with him, like
Mm.
my jiu-jitsu, my box, my like mixing it all together, which was good because he worked as a bouncer as well. So we're able, so like I mean, we were still working. He still kept the street in the style that I was kind of
Okay.
working on, and that's it. And it's been like I mean, I've trained guys in Krav Maga for years. I got to explore it, train it. I went to Greece. I got certified over there with it as well. So, but I mean, I'm never, I never identify to really anything. So people ask me, I'm like, it's just self defense. Call it what
Yeah.
you
No. No.
want.
No.
I don't
No.
really
No.
care. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Good on you. Like you didn't get consumed with the rank and the systems and no. 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 I think
See,
that's refreshing actually.
for me, it was, and some people talk about it like, I don't, sometimes I use on my titles Krav Maga. People are like, well, I go, yeah, well, whatever. I got certified. Doesn't, I mean, at the end, none of these really mean anything to me and shouldn't mean to anything to anybody who's watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or when I look at what I tell people is, I don't care your belt, your credentials. I really care about what are you teaching?
Yeah. I mean, what do
Like
you?
when I
Right. Yeah.
visually watch you and you're teaching or you're showing a drill or an exercise and you're explaining it to me, does it make sense to me?
Mm.
And how real is it based that you can use it in a real life situation?
Right.
Because
Okay.
I
Yes.
never
Oh.
cared about the titles. I cared about, did it work in the street? I was working as a bouncer, so I
Yeah.
didn't care if it
Yeah.
looked good. I'm like, can I
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. If it was aesthetically pleasing or not.
So I mean, I kind of like like I said, it's a mishmash of a lot of stuff, and that I just kind of put together, and that's it.
No, 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 no. I think that's that's refreshing. I mean, that you weren't so ravel up in certificates or rank or what have you. You were more in the information, what to kind of blend, make work based on your your job and your environment. I was like, no, I think that's so then. So obviously you're doing this. What year did you start your own brand? But I guess so. I mean,
It
like, were you like actually put yourself out there, as a basically a self defense instructor, I guess.
it was about 10 years ago I started.
Okay.
So what happened was I had this love for teaching,
Mm,
and at the time I heard something about YouTube. I'm like, let me just, I was teaching classes, like semi-private
mm.
classes. I was at Knockout Gym at the time, actually, which they had boxing, kickboxing, MMA, and stuff like that. And I was doing my self-defense stuff plus training with the guys. And I said, you know what? Let me make a couple of videos for fun on YouTube. And I just started posting videos
Ah, okay.
without really knowing anything about branding or the business
Mm.
opportunities that would come with it. And from there, I just started, started making videos. And then I realized, oh, wow, people actually like the videos I'm doing. And I just kept making, and then it started scaling and getting bigger to a point where people started asking me
Ah.
questions, making requests. And then I'm like,
Oh
wow, maybe I'm
wow.
onto something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People like what I'm doing and what I'm teaching. And then I just started working it from there. And it became from, YouTube channel, then to opening my personal training studio. And then I was certified as a strength training coach.
Hmm.
I got certified in kettlebells, TRX, CanFit Pro, a whole bunch of other certifications as well. And then I just, I managed to be able to do it as a full-time career. And then the seminars came in, and then I started teaching seminars internationally. And now I'm into the police and security. So it was a
All from
10
the big
years of,
YouTube. Wow. All from like
yeah,
putting a few videos out there. I mean, that's wow.
but I was
Wow.
consistent with putting out my videos. I'm 43. I'm still training. Like, I mean, I still train hard. I still strength
Mm.
train. I still have my MMA coach, and that I still train with. And I do that just to always keep my skills and my timing and all that.
Sure.
Because I
Sure.
tell people, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? I could teach
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
but
That is the cliche. Right.
but if you're
Right.
teaching a seminar, or if I'm teaching a seminar, I want to be able to, deliver and execute what I'm
Mm.
teaching
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
at
No.
least medium to full speed. So
Yeah.
that's why I still always, and I want to lead by example when people watch me, that if I'm teaching something and I'm saying, look, you got to trap the knife this way, well, I got to have the grip strength. So I make sure to train my grip.
Yeah, right. So you like you're competent and physically right, right. No, 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 right on. No. So then, so obviously, I mean, before we get into that, which is we're going to be getting to very like actually in a few minutes, is it fair to say then you're kind of just reality based self defense? If
Uh,
somebody wanted to coin it, I guess we'll say.
that's pretty much what it is, right?
Yeah.
Reality based self
Okay.
defense. And I tell people, my philosophy in teaching is that every person, every student I train, I say develop a system within your own system to find out what works for you.
Mm,
When I train a 65-year-old man that can't lift his arms, right, I'm going to teach him how to strike a different way. If I'm training a
yeah.
taller guy, smaller guy, I'll teach him how to use advantages and disadvantages, and learn what works for you and doesn't work through pressure testing, through doing drills, through doing scenarios. The more you do and explore, the more you're going to know your strengths and weaknesses. And you want to know all
No,
those in
absolutely.
training and not in the street.
Yeah, yeah. Find out there. No, no. I mean, right, right. I mean, how else do you find out your weaknesses and all that if you don't put it to the test? Yeah, I know. Yeah. But all right, we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes. And again, for the folks that are watching, the reason why I brought Nick on here is I just truly have an appreciation for his outlook and how he trains empty hand against knife. As everybody knows, it's one of the most difficult things that you will face, with the exception of multi-man attack, a gun pointing 5 feet away from you where you can't get tangibility. Empty hand against knife is just, it's difficult, it's hard. You better learn to embrace failures. You better leave your ego at the door, and you better be understand that you got to change things based on size, strength, and all that, levers, and just be open minded and not be emotionally attached to anything, because it will fail you. So let's just again, again. Honestly, I'm a fan.
Thank you.
The video which I first saw, it's going back some years. I want to say maybe four something. What really caught my attention because I saw you did 2-on-1, which I've been doing for like 20 years now, and it was in the snow, and this guy's coming at you, and I saw it. I'm like, oh my god, this guy's doing baseball grip 2-on-1, and I was immediately just I was hooked. I was a fan. I was just thinking like, wow, this guy's obviously realistic, has an open mind, and knows that if you don't get two hands on that thing, you're defending, not stopping. What? So my question, I guess, to start with is, at what point in your journey did you begin to examine empty hand versus knife?
So this is my obsession over this was when I saw a kid get stabbed and he died. He died in front of me.
Oh, yeah, I guess that
Right.
would do it, sadly.
So I remember I was leaving the club. Now I didn't see him get stabbed, but I was leaving the club. When I got out, he was lying on the floor and he was stabbed. And it was like in a movie, right? It was cold outside for real, but the kid was wearing a t-shirt and he's like, I'm cold and there's blood, and I'm
Uh,
freaking out, right? And I remember I'm there, I'm like, okay, and it didn't last long because then the ambulance came. Either somebody had called the ambulance or the cops. I can't, because it happened so fast. But I remember going home that night and being like, shit, and then I found out, I can't remember if it was 2 days later, that he had died, right? He basically, they had took off his chain and he ran after them and they stabbed him.
from the
And I
chain.
remember, I remember when I remember that day and the Tuesday I was teaching class, and I started doing a knife drill, and I did kind of like a drill where everybody had a knife, every man for himself. I was kind of drilling it, and at one point everybody's kind of like they're almost taking a little bit as a joke, and I just lost it on everybody
Because of what you witnessed.
because
Yeah.
what I witnessed, right? And I'm not trying to play a victim. I didn't. It did.
No,
It
no, no,
did.
no. But
It
right,
did
right.
traumatize me. For I remember for a good 4 or 5 days. I remember seeing that image. I still remember it till
Oh my
today.
God. No, no. I'm sure. Yeah, yeah.
And I said, shit, I'm like, why is this weapon so hard to defend against? What am I doing wrong? What do I need to learn? So I got
Mm,
obsessed with it. And because the laws in Canada are more knife than gun,
okay.
I said to myself, I want to know everything about this weapon. And it's
Yeah.
one of the reasons I think, and we'll probably talk about later, I got called to train the defensive, police tactics,
No, I'm
the
sure because
instructors
you
in edge
dove
weapons,
into it.
because
Yeah.
I feel I don't want to call myself a specialist, but I definitely studied that weapon more than any other
Mm.
weapon.
Same here. Yeah. Because it's what you're going to see out there. It's what's going to be most prevalent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I mean, think about it. You can go to your kitchen and pick
Yeah.
one up.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think the most common statistically, don't quote me on this, but I think the most common attacks are in fact by a steak knife, like the common household,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So then, all right. So that horrible experience, obviously, you're getting obsessed. I mean, like you want to find, a way to deal with this, and obviously pass that information on. You're starting to bring this to class. What's occurring after that?
Well, I started pressure testing stuff. So I had learned, different ways to block or defend against a knife. But then I wanted to put it to a test.
Mm.
So I put it to a test with a guy who's shorter than me. Hey, this works. Okay. A guy my height, a little bit harder. A guy taller and bigger and stronger. Shit, suddenly I can't grip the knife anymore. Then you get Big Nick who's 6'7". You're like, oh shit, that really doesn't work. Now it's
Yeah.
exaggerated taking a 6'7" guy, but the idea that I probably the thing that I learned, and I don't want it to come in a in a arrogant way, but I think my strength is understanding the dynamics of how to pressure test and how to drill something so people could learn it.
No, I don't think
So
you, yeah.
I pressure tested stuff in as many scenarios as I can with as many people. Like, I mean, I've had Helen attack me with a knife. You're like, oh, well, she's a girl. And I know she's attacking me, and I have the video on YouTube. Most instructors would never put that. And she
Yeah.
stabs me 2, 3 times before I trap her,
Yeah.
right? And I know the knife is coming. And it's that hard. And I want to give people that reality versus the bullshit reality that's going to get them killed. So I started pressure testing.
Good on you.
Ice pick grip, front grip, grab, trap, push, 2-on-1 on the ground. Ups, people are telling me, well, I'm just going to grapple against the knife. Great. I took a grappler that I knew 15 years. Adam, I want you to grapple until you get this knife. Okay, I slashed him, cut him like 22, 23 times. So, okay, does grappling work? No. How does grappling work? What did work from the grappling aspect? Great. Okay, let's take that part, put it on the board. That's how I broke it down and I dissected it.
Yeah, it's very similar, to what I did. I started out with static. Okay, somebody hold you up. I went to moving, what we call single direct. Somebody just like really committing to your center. Obviously sewing machine, reverse, and then the really skilled guy who knows how to recover,
Boom.
bring back, FMA, orient. I mean, just like that. And but what's really nice what you said is that you have to admit that there's failures, like you said, I mean, yeah, and
You
and you have
know,
to be honesty,
it's the only way you're gonna learn. I don't want to I put videos on YouTube with Helen where she's actually like cutting me. I put videos where I'm not successful because I don't want to give a false idea to somebody.
Yeah, and how many people
And
do
it
that?
sometimes people tell me, "Oh, it didn't work." I'm like, "Really? Okay, come in here. Let me try to attack you full speed."
Yeah.
Right? And then tell me. And here's the thing. If you could prove to me, then I'm all ears.
No, no, I've always said that. If somebody comes along with a better methodology than what I'm currently doing 2-on-1, sign me up. I'm all, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't have an ego. I want the best, what's going to be enable me to be the best version of myself. And in turn, give me the best stuff to give to my students so they have the best chance of survival.
Here's
So
the
I
here's
don't,
the thing.
you know,
And I say this, Dean, there's no guarantees.
yeah.
There's possibilities and probabilities. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I break down my self-defense. Is it
Yes.
possible that 3 guys, each with 2 knives, attack me? It's possible. Is it probable? No. So what are you training for?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So I break it down that way. And then what I try to do is try to create drills based on what works and what doesn't work through pressure testing and isolating and breaking down the drill, focusing on the student on just one thing.
Fantastic. That's just,
From there,
man,
it's
music
what
to
I
my
did with the,
ears.
and then I just scale it and
Yeah.
scale it and scale it and scale it. So, and I took a lot of drills, there's some drills that we do in boxing or MMA, and I'm like, okay, how can I incorporate this drill in hand to hand? Now, how could I incorporate it if I add a knife? And that's how I'm constantly trying to think of new ways that are
Yeah.
realistic to challenge myself and the students or when I'm teaching a seminar.
No, I think everything you said, I think it's fantastic. You know what I mean? You just, yeah, not to get off subject here, but I think it's just great. I think more people need to do that, like to self-explore, to find out what works, like-minded people and test out and all that. I think what happens to us, whether through the lens of being a student or just somebody doesn't think that, they could do it. It's like I think they feel like, well, no, I mean, we have to do what he said and not to look outside the box. And
See,
it's crazy.
my think about if you think about martial arts, it's an art. Art is about
Mm,
being creative. The way I always ask my students, what do you think? What do
yeah,
you think? Do you think it would
yeah, make
work?
them
Why?
inclusive. Yeah,
I want them to quite. I I um I like when the students challenge me in not in an arrogant way,
no,
because
no,
you
no.
could
I know
always,
exactly what you
but in
mean.
a good way, like,
Absolutely.
Nick,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think that would work. Why not? Because I think that might not be the best solution. All right, man, come on, let's try it. Let's give it a
No,
shot. Let's do a little
yeah.
drill. Show me. Let's explore it together. Might work for me, but not for you. Let's find out.
I'm with you, man. I love
But
everything you're saying
the
because
problem with that, Dean, is that it doesn't fit that cookie cutter type of. See, the reason why I've never identified to any system, because I'm a little bit of a lone wolf. I've been called that, but that's how I am in my life, right?
Good on
I
you.
mean, I was kind of kicked. I never finished high school, right? So I don't have a high school education. I was kicked out of school. So you can understand why I never cared about any degree or any belt. I just cared about just it's the truth,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
So for me,
We're learning a little more and more about you.
this 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 is my whole life, Dean. I did this for a living. This is how I put food
Good
on
for,
my
well,
table
obviously
when I used to work in
something, you're doing
clubs.
something right. I mean, so,
But
you
what I
know,
want to do is I want to like inspire people who do martial arts to be like, hey, like let me do something that I'd rather you try something that doesn't work and you find out it doesn't work than never
mm,
ask that question.
oh my, yeah, no, I hear, and here's the thing too, and again, not to deviate off what we're talking about, but it is somewhat relevant. And I'm going to be getting some people on, some bigwig people down the road about this. The student is getting lost in translation. In other words, it's kind of what you were alluding to in what you were talking about. And what I mean by that is that the student, by not letting the student participate or give feedback or self-explore or and not realizing like they are the most important piece. It's their journey. It's not the system. It's not the instructor.
Absolutely
It's the
right.
student. And I think that's getting lost with these big, and I see it in FMA. I see it in other systems where, particularly the more regimented systems, all that.
Like
But,
I remember when I did
you
kung
know,
fu, right? I went through my belts and I would look
yeah.
at the higher belt and think, "Oh my god." Whereas when I train my students, like within a few classes, I'm teaching them about the basic awareness and how to defend against a knife. Like,
Mm,
and I don't mean how to trap. No, at least no. What are you looking at? How to pick up an improvised weapon? There's certain stuff you need to learn quickly because I don't want to spend 5 years before I learn how to defend against a knife.
yeah. Like, oh, no, wait,
Right?
you can't do it yet because you get the certain belt. You know what I mean? We got to hold that information. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I mean, I don't like. I mean, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
what I teach is very simple. I tell people in like 6 months, I've taught you everything I know. After that, it's about just training it over
Yeah.
and over and
Hey,
different. It's about drilling it. I don't
I think
teach
it's,
that much
no,
stuff. So
no,
they're like, "Are
keep
we
it
going to learn
simple.
something new?" I'm like, "No, I'm going to teach you the same thing you did now, 2-on-1, 3-on-1 with a knife with overkill drills. That's what develops real. It's the training that develops the skills
Yeah.
and the awareness or whatever you're going to be training, and not so much the technique that's going to make the fighter."
Yeah, I think this is great stuff. I mean, yeah, I'm not hearing obviously any disagreeing for me. I just think we need more like us, just to really encourage the student's journey, instead of control mechanisms and
But
yeah.
the thing is, I think the thing is, people feel safe in a bar, like in
Or
a
they put too
frame.
much trust into like just assume like because he's got such and such belt or such and such this. I mean, he's got to know. How could it be wrong? You know what I mean? And
See,
like you said, yeah,
I said it like I did in another interview. They're like, what's well? I'll tell you a really funny story, and it's again, it's not to sound arrogant because I'm not. But when I
no,
went to the
no, yeah,
U.S., I needed a visa to get into the U.S. I didn't know that because I was going to train the police. So they were supposed to give me a visa, which they didn't. So when I went to the U.S., they stopped me. They're like, "What are you going to do?" I go, "I'm going to teach self defense." I'm going. They're like, "Okay, what kind of self defense?" They're like, "Are you getting paid?" I said, "Yeah." They're like, "I'm being compensated." They're like, they took me to the side. I'm gonna kind of go through the story fast, and then he basically told me, he goes up to me, "There's 300 million people in the U.S. Why do we need you to train us?" Or he's like, "What's your credentials?"
hmm,
Right. So he wanted to know what were my credentials, and I gave him pretty much my credentials, which were pretty much what I gave you. But then they Googled me. I don't know what they did, and then they finally let me in the country because they saw that but they finally let me in because they saw like basically what I did, and I was training the police, and I had a letter.
Okay.
But I mean, the credentials don't, to me, they don't mean that much. Than as much as people, you could be learning or training a system for 30 years, but maybe reading the wrong book. Who knows? You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
that's
it doesn't mean you're in the right thing and addressing, depending on what you're trying to address and all that. I mean, yeah. Oh, I got a question here from a viewer. Thanks for the question, Bob. What do you start with? Timing, distance, addressing weapon, footwork, or all of the above? Good
I
question.
start with awareness.
Good. Yeah, yeah, right.
Awareness, reading the body
Recognize the
language.
draw.
Is he trying to close the gap? Is he leading with his hand? Can I see his hands? Is he trying to get close? Is he trying to get an angle? Where is he moving? Did he
Mm,
step back? What range is he taking? That is a number one thing. The quicker you could pick up on that, the quicker you'll be able to decide, well, what is my space? Am I in an elevator, a staircase, a car, an open field? What's around me? A
mm,
table, a chair? Is there a static improvised weapon? Is there a projectile improvised weapon? Is there a long range weapon I can use?
right. Can you
Right?
run?
And
Or
then,
the other,
can I run? Like I made a video on running, right? So I was like, oh, I get this against the knife. You're an idiot. Just run. Great.
yeah. What if you
Let's
got loved
let
ones?
let's pressure test this. No, I did a full pressure test with an awareness
Yeah,
with Helen. So the door was about 7-8 feet away. She
yeah.
was about 10 feet away. My goal was to run to the door, open the door, and run out. By the time I opened the door, she stabbed me. So the
Yeah,
idea that you're gonna run. So after doing a lot of pressure testing, the only way you can run against the knife is if you have a minimum 15, but I would probably say 20 feet of open space, hoping you can run faster than him.
yeah.
If you're a woman in your heels, you're done.
I know.
If
I
you're a
mean,
guy who can't
yeah,
run faster than me, you're done. And guess what? You're chest to back, which means it's counterproductive. I have higher chances
yeah.
because now I'm stabbing you from the back versus
Right.
me turning around and picking up an improvised weapon.
No,
If
I
you
know, I
pressure
know.
test
I
it, you
mean,
see that.
no, that's excellent. And here the thing too is like I tell my students the two E's: egress and ethical obligation. One, you don't have means of egress, meaning A, maybe there's not an egress or you can't run fast or whatever. And two, you have an ethical obligation. You can't just leave your loved ones to the wolves. I mean, it just
It doesn't make so. When I hear people tell me against a knife, I'm just gonna run. It's kind of like when you're hungry, and when I'm hungry, I'm just gonna eat. I look at it as that stupid,
yeah,
right?
oh,
Like,
yeah. Wow, that's a
I mean, I get comments like this on YouTube all the time. Today I got
I
one.
know that, and those are the ones who don't ever do anything under pressure tested or throw a helmet on or those.
But
Yeah.
but but I think that's what I'm trying to do with what I teach, right? I mean, I don't get offended when I hear that. I'm like, okay, let's try it. Helen, let's go to 3 feet. Let's go to
Yeah,
10
yeah,
feet.
yeah.
Let's
I
go
mean, you
to
gotta at least try.
15 feet. Let's try to 20 feet. Let's see what happens.
Mm, excellent. We just got some people. Hey, Rich from San Diego. Thank you for watching. Bob, thank you from Illinois and the question. Brian Rodriguez. Hey, buddy. Thank you for watching. And Julius. Thanks, buddy. But Bob, thank you again for the question. That was excellent. So then, okay, so you're finding out your pressure testing. You're obviously getting some methodology going from your, what you're seeing that's not working, your findings and what have you. When, at what point, and this is where I have to give you so much credit and respect for. Matter of fact, I kind of got in a verbal sparring match today in my group. I mean, it was respectful. It didn't cross the line and all that. And basically, my point to the person that commented, dissented, so to speak, was about what you're doing in the social experiment there. And I just said, hey, I give this guy a lot of credit to go out there and put himself out there and do that. I'm like, this is not a dime a dozen. You rarely see this, and
Can I
expose
tell you
yourself
something?
to failures. You know, so
It's when you go out there, you don't know who you're gonna get.
yeah,
You don't know how they're gonna attack you.
I can't
You
imagine.
don't know how they're gonna hold the knife. You don't know what angle they're gonna use.
You don't even know them. I know.
You don't even know them, right?
They
It's
could be
it's
like an
it's
ex-criminal that just got released.
So then sometimes, like, I mean, people judge me. I'm like, okay, man, go and do it. Go and do it. Let me see you do it, and then judge me, right? Like, I've had people with a good knife fighter will never hold a knife like that. You know what my answer
Really?
was? I'm not afraid of a good knife fighter. I'm afraid of the crackhead. That's
Who
who I'm
doesn't,
afraid of.
who
That
doesn't
psycho, the
care,
crackhead who's gonna just fucking attack you like a maniac.
or there's somebody who
So
just doesn't care about, just has no emotional feelings to what they
yeah,
do, or recourse, or or consequences. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the person, right? So getting back to when you started doing these, social experience. When did it start? Like, what year? And say, hey, you know what? Did you wake up one day?
I think it was 2015. I was like, man, I want to do something. I want to do something really like. I want to go test something out fully. I'm like, I have this idea, right? And I told my business partner Patrick, because we also have Code Red Defense, a second YouTube channel. And I was like, I want to go out. I'm gonna get markers, and anybody who cuts me, I'm gonna give him $20. And he's like, he goes, sure you want to do that? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And like, there's moments you're like, you don't know who you're stopping. I
I,
mean, you
I
don't know
know. Like I
what.
said, it could be somebody who just got released. I mean, you don't know.
And a lot of people said no, right? So you're also shy. You're like, hey, how are you guys? Good, good. You're
Yeah,
giving a
somebody
little
came up to
something,
me
and
and
they're
they're
looking at you,
like,
and
"Hey,
it's
you want
kind
to
of
stab
like,
me?"
and it's crazy because that's when you start. One guy holds the knife this way, the other guy holds the knife that way, the other guy attacks you here, and the last guy grabs me in a headlock. We fall on the ground. So you saw all the different type of dynamics of a full. Like, I mean, people are like, well, it's not realistic. How much more realistic I'm going to do it? Give a guy a knife and attack me? Like, I mean, that's as close as I could
Well,
get.
here's the thing.
So
You don't know these people. You have no idea how they're going to attack you, which you just mentioned, where they're going to attack you, at what speed, what velocity, how much depth they're going to come in onto you. I don't know. I mean,
it was interesting
the
because
only thing you know is
yeah,
that the only thing that you know is they're going to attack you.
yeah,
You know what I
that's it.
mean? So,
But you don't know at the power and the speed they're going to come because you don't know everybody's mindset.
no, their depth. Are they going to jump your center? Are they going to
Yeah,
maybe probe at your hands? Are they going to probe at your chest? Right. I mean, so that's, I don't know. I think it's pretty realistic. So,
yeah, man. But it was tough. I remember it was tough. I was
no, I just
beaten
go
after
out there.
that.
I'd be like, and then you have to go up to these people who you don't know and say, "Oh,
Yeah,
hey, by the way, I'm doing this thing," and if somebody came to me, I would be polite, but at the same time, I think I would be like, "Hmm."
yeah. But it was one of my favorite ones, and I'm planning to do something like this again in the future.
I
I
thought, you
have
know what? Again, I give you so much credit. I thought it was, I don't know. I thought it was fantastic. And but folks, I'm going to be playing a clip now of that, and I think um, there's a question, and I think there's a video of you using a belt. Your thoughts
yeah.
on using a belt for knife defense?
Look, I mean, and I've made a video. I've made a few videos on that, and using a belt is great. But I mean, you have to have the space, the distance for you to pull it out.
Get that whip.
You have to get it like, you know. So
Yeah.
the first thing I would tell you is it good? Yes, but make sure to train it before. Don't find out if it works or not for the first time against a knife. So pressure test it, do some drills, do some scenarios with it, get to explore and play with it.
Mm,
And you have to don't get emotionally attached to the weapon, like you say, where I see the knife and I'm trying to go for my belt, and suddenly the knife is too close, but I'm
yeah,
still
all
going
of a
for my
sudden,
belt and I'm getting
yeah.
stabbed. You got to know that, give up the weapon. If you're
Mm,
emotionally,
yeah, they're closing in. Yeah, because there's a certain range proximity where, like, if you don't address it, and obviously you notice from what you do, where it happens very quickly, where you are. Well, I construe to my students as being late, meaning
yeah,
that
good
they're
point. It's
late,
too late.
and you know what I mean, and you know, and but yeah, like you said, don't get attached to. Yeah, I'm gonna get this out. I'm gonna get this out.
Boom. Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And I would see that often in training. I'd be like, forget about it. It's like sometimes you see fighters who are really like they love one move and they're trying to do it, but I'm like, you're not in range for that kick, or you're not in range for that move, or
And the
okay, you
more
have a really good strike, but right now it's not there. Forget about it. Don't
and
get
they
attached
force
to
the
anything.
issue. Yeah, yeah. No, I know. Yeah, right. They're forcing the issue. And Brian, thank you. Thank you for the
Great
question.
question, Brian.
All right, folks. I'm like I mentioned. I'm going to play some part, but basically, those folks who haven't seen Nick's videos or on YouTube, here's one here where the social experiment, which I was referencing. All right, I'm going to play this, and I'm going to drop myself.
Okay, guys, so you've been asking for social experiments, and we have one for you guys.
I'm going to hide
This time
myself.
it's going to be me. I'm going to go out and challenge people, random people, to attack me with this marker, basically simulating a knife. If they hit heart area, underneath the arms, or carotid artery, I'm going to give them $20. So I'm going to put my knife defense to the test, and my skills also at the same time. So we're just going to be picking random people and asking me to come at me full speed. They're going to be wearing the helmet, and let's see what happens. We're doing a little experiment.
Okay.
And basically what I'm looking for is people to attack me with this marker.
I'm
basically
to attack you with a marker.
Yeah, basically what we're looking at is knife defense. You're going to take this marker. Your job is to stab me. Any way, anyhow you want.
I'm not really a fighter or anything like that. I don't really know how to move.
Well, even better. Your job is to cut from here. No carotid artery. So you're slashing, stabbing, whatever you want. You have 20 seconds. Now, come at me. I'll go very light.
Okay, promise.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just watch my knees.
Yeah, no, I won't.
Bad knees.
All right.
Oh my god, that's try and gut you.
You gotta try to cut me. Do you wear a helmet?
Okay.
I'm allowed to strike you? I could tell, man. You're gonna go full out, huh? Go! Oh shit, you okay? Sorry, man. Sorry. Nice job. Put the hand in front. Oh, it was great, guys.
I almost got you.
Awesome.
It's very,
Good.
again.
All right, folks. So just again, those videos, he's got a ton more on his channel there. You can actually watch him more at length and all that. But basically, you saw what he does. Again, much respect. I just, that just takes cojones, man. Just. So, all right. So the first one you did, like, I mean, what was the feedback from the kind of the post conversations and all that from the people that you basically just kind of chose? I mean, like, what was
They're like the people who were doing the experiment.
correct?
Like you hear one of the guys is like, he definitely like, he's like, you're a lot faster than I thought, or the strikes came in a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't expecting the strikes to come from like those type of angles.
Yeah.
And the one guy surprised me the most. Like, I mean, if you watch the whole video, the guy with the red hair, we actually, like, I don't know how, I got him in like kind of in a headlock. We went on the ground, we kept fighting.
I remember seeing
that.
that.
It was actually like, he surprised me because he didn't look that strong because he wasn't a big guy.
But he looked wiry.
He was wiry. He was the strongest one of all.
Yeah, he
so
looked
like,
yeah.
It's a lesson, right? Like, it could be deceiving sometimes. The guy's big and not as strong as the little guy. So, I mean, I also have a great video where we put fake blood on the hands. and suddenly you
Oh, for
see that
grip, for
you can't
grip.
strip, you
Uh,
can't. I mean, even when I was training with the defensive tactics, the Boston Police, at one point it started sweating because we started sweating because it was hot in the gym,
mm,
and we didn't have the AC on, and suddenly we couldn't grip the knife. So you have to be able, like, to not be like, okay, once you know you can't grip it, forget about trying to grip it. Go to
that's
the next one,
yeah,
parry and
yeah.
strike. Then you know what I
You're
mean.
gonna have to. If you can't get the 2-on-1, you got to hit. I mean, what the hell? That oh man, yeah, because I'm such a fanatic on 2-on-1. If I couldn't get, yeah, you hit. I mean, yeah, wow, yeah. So all right. So then criteria. Okay, let's just go. Okay, what I want to go into next is again, I just think that was good. And the people, here's getting back to that, you know, a couple of people that I was talking to this afternoon, and I just find it that some of the people who will kind of critique or not out flat out disrespectful, not that, but or kind of like will express negativity or stuff of that nature. I tend to find those are a lot of times are the ones who like didn't look out of the box or didn't do like really high pressure oriented testing.
Yeah,
Because if you do and you did and what you saw in there, that's what it's like, man. Because that's what it's like. That's like there is no like magic move or like that. I mean, it is ugly. It's not aesthetically pleasing. It's adrenaline rush. It's failures. The stress inoculation from it is for me. It's the most best stress inoculation for me. Empty hand against knife. I just and I commend you for what you did out there. I think that's
like, I mean, one of the reasons why when you do full out pressure testing or when you do certain drills, like I've developed specific drills, they're very they don't look as clean cut. Your move doesn't look as easy.
no, I know.
Um, there's training required in a certain amount sometimes of strength and leveraging and knowing how to use your body
Mm,
in this type of training. So if you're a teacher and who wants to look really good in front of their students, this is not something you're going to do
no, no.
because
Yeah.
I mean, maybe your students, because your students will have a mindset to attack you very not as hard and
Mm,
let you do your move because they're already mentally beaten by you because they know that you're at a higher level and they've already
right.
programmed that I'm not at his level, therefore I could never he'll be able to do it because
No,
you
no,
also want
no.
to believe that you could do it. So again, one of the reasons why I don't like belts and systems, but that's just me. But I think that pressure testing stuff full speed like this will not make you look like you're this Superman guy
No.
and that it's so easy. But I rather give my students a reality check so they don't freak out in the street
Mm.
then then give them the belief that yeah you're gonna trap the
No, that's
knife
all
you're gonna
fine.
grab the arm and then when the guy is gonna come full speed and
Yeah.
it doesn't work I don't want you to figure out in the street what works or it doesn't work
No,
here's a
yeah.
time
Yeah, that what you just mentioned there is gold. And just from I'm going to expand on what you just said from the perspective of the FMA community. And a lot of times, it's definitely not the student's fault, and a lot of instructors, it's not their fault, depending on where they are in the food chain of the system of instructors. And what we have here, and this is why I did this channel because I just bring truth from people and all that. And if they don't like me, if they don't watch it, well, they don't.
see
But
I think one of the reasons why I'm a little bit of a like lone wolf as I call myself and I don't identify myself is because I don't want to be categorized by anything or anybody. That means I'm free
you're like Tom
to
Sawyer.
teach
I'm like,
what I want to teach, how I want to teach. If you
I
don't
know.
like it,
You
don't
have to
come to
answer
me, go
anybody's
somewhere else.
system, teacher. I get you. I get you. No, no, I totally do. And like what I was mentioning was so what you have is you have like these offenses they do for like against knife attack. But I could tell you like with 100% certainty and honesty, because I've been in these systems before, I can tell you right now, they haven't tested it out. It gets handed to them, they do it, but the students who have no compare and contrast to anything else,
Comparing contract.
they just go with it, like, because this is what's handed down to them. I mean, who are they to say, question, and all that, unless for some reason they get the inclination, like, hey, this doesn't seem right, and all that, or they test it out, which is what I did back in the day, and I found like this stuff doesn't work, man. I'm like doing my own stuff right now. This stuff's getting me killed, which started kind of started my journey of just finding out the failures and other stuff. But to this very day, there are FMA systems that keep like doing stuff, and I can tell you right now, they haven't tested it, and they keep doing it. And
See, I one of my through my years of experience, and like I mean, this is pretty much I've been doing this all my whole life. And one of the things that I've kind of developed the gift is when I look at a video or I look at something they're teaching, like I say, I strip out the belt, the title, who the guy is, how many. I look at the content, I'm like, no, that would never work.
yeah, it's
When
so
I
easy.
see
Have you been in there?
any sequence that has more than two patterns, like two uh 1, 2, 3, 4, it's highly unlikely and not probable that it will happen. People say it's muscle memory. It's not muscle memory when your next move depends on his next move, like that he reacts a certain way. So I'm not. How could I build muscle memory
If you
based
don't have,
on? It's like me dancing with somebody and be like, oh yeah, but he knows what he's supposed to do in the street. He doesn't. So
yeah,
you could only get maybe a first two strikes in, because if you go preemptive and you get that element of surprise, maybe the two, max three after that, anything could happen. And I've done it with a knife where I strike him and some will pull the knife away. Others are going to come attack. The other guy's going to try to punch me. He might try to switch hands. He might go for a takedown. The idea that you're going to train through every single possibility for every single attacker who would react a certain way is endless and impossible.
no, I know.
So when I look at a sequence
pattern.
of 1, 2, 3, 4, they take the knife, and 5 looks
I
cool.
know.
It's good for the movies.
Yeah,
But unless you're fighting a robot or somebody who's going to be like, yeah, sure, comply the whole way through,
no, I know. No,
it's not going to happen.
you're describing what's going on today. It's this cooperative play. And I understand if you're demoing something, I get it. You want the people to see before you go and bring it to higher incremental levels of resistance. I understand that, but it's going beyond that. It's like basically the most of the format that you're seeing, and again, not everybody. I don't want to throw everybody in that category, but a good majority is that kind of they're doing it and that cooperative play. But I don't see helmets coming out. I don't see like full on resistance, and where you're seeing people fail. Because I can tell you right now, if they had done that, or if they do that, they're gonna be throwing stuff away, or worse, they're gonna lie to themselves and lie to their
And
students.
but here's the thing, Dean. So you've been training. Like, I remember I found out Kung Fu didn't work when I was about 13, 14. I was like, okay, this actually doesn't work. Not all of it. Most the blocking here or certain stuff. I was like, I didn't have time to do that. I remember I got uppercut in the face, my teeth were bleeding. I'm like, it didn't work. Why? The kid was a boxer. You know what I mean? That I didn't. So, I mean, when you pressure test stuff full out, it's also hard on the ego if you know that you've trained a certain system. I'm not putting any system out there better than others,
Yeah.
but when you train the system for 10, 15 years and they told you that this system is the best, and suddenly you come and you train and you get attacked in full speed or medium slow speed in the drill, and you realize, holy shit, it doesn't work. And the student's telling you, oh, I wasn't ready, or I wasn't expecting you to attack me this way, or you came too fast, or attack me this way, and then I'll show you. You're like, okay, but that's not how it's gonna happen.
Yeah, you attacked me wrong.
Yeah, I got that.
Jim Carrey.
No, an attacker won't attack that way. That's what the most common attacker was not gonna.
Oh, good heavens, they won't attack that way. Oh, John Kuz was, hey, my brother, hey, Let me just see if I'm missing any questions. To become popular and looking good, yeah. Yeah, no doubt. An argument there, Brian. Second, me, it's since it will be all right. Heard someone have developed their own style using a knife. Someone likely someone encountered on the street. We're going through the system at one point, maybe experiment. Oh, just maybe experiment with some ex inmates yeah, like this sewing machine and et cetera, et cetera. Which you deal with anyhow. I mean,
Yeah, and not only that, like I mean, I in our Code Red defense videos, some of the guys we found in Kijiji. It was basically we're just paying them cash. So let's just say some of the guys who came in those videos were not legit. And when they attacked me,
and we'll leave it.
we didn't say in the videos, make sure to attack me. No, it's like I always say, how do you want me to attack you? I don't really care. Just what you want. How do you want me to do it? I'm like, I don't just I don't care.
Oh, so needless to say, they were yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, and they were like, I mean, and obviously their ego doesn't want to be hurt too, right? So
No.
I mean, and I wanted to make it more realistic, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I just think these experiments you're doing on the streets are just see above my question. Oh my gosh, let me see, Brian. I think I might have missed a question there. Hold on. Definitely solution thing out of the box, pressure test, dirt, sand, anything. Yeah, anything. Right. The belt. If it's about the belt, Brian, he did answer that. If I'm missing another question, I mean,
I think it's to become popular and looking good, not about effectiveness and
yeah.
saving your life.
Please let me know,
That's
Brian, if I'm missing a question. But he did address the question on the belt. But
what kills me the most, Dean, is you see the guys in the commando suits and the hat and the masks, and then I'm watching this video and I'm like, something doesn't make sense.
I know, like you see that
So
there's that
I see that, and it's like,
yeah.
and then you hear the guys like 20 years of training, and then it
Yeah,
goes
I
through, and I'm like,
know.
and I think that's one of the things I tell people, and I said it. I'm like, I don't have any belts. So what makes you so good? I'm like, well, just look at my content. You like it, great. You don't, go train with the other guy who does 20 years
Yeah,
and he's
maybe.
teaching you like some like. I mean, at the end, it's like, look at what you're actually, the content that actually. I'm not saying this about me. I'm saying this about anybody who's out there learning self-defense, of anybody online. Forget strip everything away and be like, what is he actually teaching? Does it work? Is it medium, slow speed? Is there pressure testing videos? Is he doing stuff that simulates a form of reality?
Yeah, no.
And then make a judgment based on that.
Yeah, you know what it is we this in this community, and I hate because I love FMA and but the problem with one of this community, we put too much faith into the quote unquote instructors because of tenure, whether it's 20, 30 years, all that, and people are reluctant to question. And not me, not
You,
I'm like,
you want to know what the thing is, Dean? I'll tell you. I'm by nature a critical thinker.
yeah, obviously
I
for
think
what you're doing, sure.
I question myself. I question everything I do every day. I'm like, am I teaching right? If I'm teaching someone, I'm like, and I see him do something, and I'm like, shit. I'll be, come here. Let's try it again. Why did you do that?
Yeah,
Oh, because it was
no.
easier for me. Like, and I think that's what's lacking for a lot of people. But that's the most important part. So it's in my nature to be a critical thinker, and I do that for the martial arts. And that's what needs to be done. But a lot of people won't do it because, again, it's scary. It's giving up on a belief that you were told that works,
I know.
and then having to restructure your system.
No, and
But we
you're
have the moral,
you
obligation to do that because people are taking our word in what we're teaching.
Yeah, and the thing is, here's the thing with the knife. Okay, like obviously the common weapon in FMA is a stick. I mean, the most and all that. If you want to believe certain things are going to work with the stick, yeah, like for instance, getting your checking hand in there when it's coming at 100 miles an hour, knock your socks out. You know what I mean? I don't get so convicted on stick. However, when you're teaching at the end against knife, and their lives are at stake, man. You owe it to them to like make sure whatever you're teaching that you try it out and say, hey, look, it's not 100%, but this is what has come out in the highest percentage and all that, and this is what we got. But at least you're being honest and all that.
Beautifully said, Dean.
Do
That is the best thing I've ever heard, like from people that when we talk about martial arts, is that honesty, guys. Look, this is the best thing I've seen that I've pressure tested that I think is your highest chances of survival, because that's all it is.
Yeah.
There's no black or nobody could guarantee you anything. It's about what are your chances of survival? Is it better for me to pick up a chair, to run through the door, or go for the knife? How do you know this? Pressure tested. Do some
Right.
drills. Find out. But for a lot of people, that's not something they want to do.
No, and depending on how high they're in the food chain, what happens is they have to really kind of reevaluate. And some do. Some will look like, hey, they go to their students, hey guys, we're going to do things differently now. This is what I found. I found a better method. And some people do that. Unfortunately, also others that don't, and they just kind of keep going the path, even though they.
But it's because you would need to disassociate from a certain system or category, and again, that's why I'm a little. That's why I'm alone. That's because I could teach what I want, how I
know.
want. So I'm free to go out and be like, "Look, guys, this is what I teach." Who said it? I did.
Like
you
it?
like it? Great. You don't? Go watch somebody else. Go train with somebody else. I don't. That's my philosophy in this, right? And I encourage. I've had students who train with me, and then they go to do jiu-jitsu, then they do MMA, then they do Krav Maga, then they come back to me. I love that. I'm like, guys, go out there, fucking explore, learn. Maybe you'll bring something new to me.
I know. I hate that. It's almost like it's like an aspect of indentured servitude. What do you mean? No, I mean you need to stay here, and what do you? I mean, they're the most important piece. It's their journey.
But you see, it's funny, right? Because everybody talks about Bruce Lee and the philosophy, and they say,
oh my God,
but then it's the opposite, right? So I mean, that's a little bit my philosophy, and it's not because of Bruce Lee, and it's really because that's the way I lead my life is the way I lead my self-defense and what I teach, which is go out, explore, learn, grow, work with different people. Don't be a critical thinker. Question me. Like if somebody's watching this video, they have the right to question me. They have the right to be like,
sure.
As long as it's constructive and it's not like you're an idiot. That would never work.
Yeah, I know. I can't say those blanket statements. Well, what do you mean? I mean, maybe explain yourself a little more. You know what I mean?
So normally, you know what I tell Dean? That would never work. So there's a video I posted 4 minutes. That would never work. I'm like, which part? All of it. So all of it. Even the elbow would never work. So elbows don't work. That's when you know. That's when you know you're talking to somebody that there's no logic. They're just. I don't waste my time with these people. Yeah. I just block them and that's it.
Yeah. Because otherwise, because people like that, you're just not going to get anywhere. So no, I mean, why would you just? Yeah. Wow, great stuff. I mean, I got a couple more things here. So basically, let's if you just for the viewers watching, I know you kind of explain awareness and all that. After giving them awareness, which I totally agree with you, what would kind of be the next step in your methodology in dealing with a knife attack? And to get a little more specific, let's just say, for instance, let's just go with your overhand. And I mean, obviously aware of that, but what would you? Somebody's in your class.
So I've kind of broken down the phases from what I've seen, because obviously I tell people the number one thing is if you could avoid the knife, engage with the knife, that's your first step. So I've kind of broken it down to very few. If you could run. But guess what? You need 20 feet open space. Second best option is pick up an equalizer. Improvised weapons. I've brought them down to 3. A static improvised weapon, that means if I had a car or something, I could break my distance and range between me and attacker. Projectile, anything I could throw, again, to run. Or range weapon, whatever kind of weapon you can get that will give you range. The third one is your environment's going to play a factor. You're in an elevator, staircase, close quarter, an open space. Then if you're under 3 feet and you're in close quarter range, you have no option but to step in and isolate and trap that knife. If you have a range where you can use your legs, hit high, hit low, maybe parry, get an improvised weapon and escape. Again, you might have more options. Or if you have no choice, then you want to close that gap and isolate that knife and trap and strike as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean,
So I break down those drills. So I have a lot of drills that I've developed. I isolate them where they work on a specific skill,
okay.
and then I piece by piece I throw in more. And then at the
Okay,
end, we're like,
you're
okay, let's
building
go
more.
full out.
Okay. No, I think that's well, I think they're lucky to have you. Well, I mean, your gaming's obviously realistic, and you're not giving them false sense. You're telling them that this is difficult. There's a
Oh,
good.
my students, I was training a student. He came from Cyprus and he was here for 6 weeks. And he was like, he watched my YouTube. He goes, I really want to train with you. I'm only here for 6 weeks. And I'm like, okay, man, let's. So he booked
Yeah.
me. And the last one, he goes, I want to learn some knife. I go, yeah, look, I want to teach you at least basic knife stuff, at least some survival stuff.
Yeah, God
And
forbid.
he freaked out. He's like, he's like, oh my God. I go,
Really?
look, I don't want to scare you, but I'd rather give you a reality check than you freak out in the street and I teach you some bullshit.
Yeah. Before he finds out there. Right.
So
Yeah, I mean,
he freaked out how hard it was. And we kind of like were rolling like with a knife. I'm trying to stabbing, and his job is to like. I go. I'm not gonna stab. I'm not gonna stop until you trap that knife. How?
Yeah.
I don't care. Figure it out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but you're
And what do I
I mean,
do that?
Look at the
So he
help.
could
I mean,
start.
you're doing him a favor, you know? You know what I
But
mean?
also, I do drills with students, overkill drills, but also to work their mind, figure it out. And as they're doing it, okay, grab the arm, just no good trap, boom, I'm out, come back, let's go, boom, boom, until
Yeah. But you know what though? And you know, I again, like I had a guest on here, and we kind of covered. Like to me, a really important thing that you have to, the main ingredient, in my opinion, you have to have when dealing with this is stress inoculation. They have to be able to do stress because if you can't negotiate it in your training center, how the hell are you going to deal with it like out there? God forbid. So you have to have those. You have to have that. It's like just as important as you training the physical attributes to stop and get your levers in place. It's just as important that you have to develop that psyche, how to deal with stress. And I don't think there's enough put to that, you know? I don't think there's enough when, especially particularly empty hand against knife. I mean, that's up there, you know what I mean? Because when this breaks down, as you know, you know what I mean?
And I think again, it's hard to do it because it doesn't look as easy. It's not as fancy. It doesn't sell videos. It doesn't sell content. It doesn't give that belief that, hey, I could do this. I stay away from that. Do you know what I mean? That's not what I want to teach.
Yeah, I know, and you know, and good for you for being ethical like that because obviously none of us are getting rich over this.
No, like I mean, at the end, we're here to help people. That like my
right. I mean,
goal is to
if you know what I charge my people, like I tell them, like you people don't understand like how lucky you are, but you do it because obviously you're passionate about it, you believe in what you're doing, you have conviction, and you want to.
Dean, I've had people who watched my videos who got attacked with a knife and wrote me emails to thank me because I saved their life. Today, I got an email by a girl who got attacked. She got attacked at a house party, and the guy choked her. And she goes, because I watched your videos, I defended myself. And I have that email, and I'm going to share it.
The ultimate compliment, huh? The ultimate,
right? I got a guy who got attacked in an event, and he goes, because I watched your video, I panicked and I just picked up the chair and I started swinging the chair. By fluke, I hit his hand. He goes, I have no martial arts. I hit his hand. The knife dropped, and that was enough. I mean, that's what self-defense is, like guys. It's not always about grabbing the knife, disarming him, taking the knife, using it against him. Like it's not about that.
No, that's the ultimate compliment that somebody's actually writing to you and giving you feedback of what they did based on you. That's not. Yeah, I don't think it gets better than that. So let's go into because we're about to wrap, and this has been incredible, by the way.
Thank you, Dean.
But let's go. So future endeavors and projects. What do you got coming down the pipeline?
I'm gonna start. I did, like I said, I did my Edge weapon instructor course for the Boston Police, and they loved it. It was very dynamic. It was 2 days.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm a very hands-on person.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own ways of teaching. I'm a very like we were drilling 8 hours a day of drills,
Wow,
overkill drills like nonstop.
this was very recent. This was
Yeah,
just
it was just 2 weeks ago. So
okay.
everybody
Okay,
was bruised up. It was intense. You know, we were doing trapping drills, parrying drills, kicking, 2-on-1s, distance gun against knife, 3 feet, 6 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet, 20 feet.
awesome.
Like charge. Like I mean, I mean, it was very dynamic. Then scenarios at the end. So I'm starting to get more interest in contracts with police and security. Hopefully after the COVID, I want to start, doing more of that, and as well, planning some seminars. I also have my instructor course next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an
Okay.
instructor course. I have a level 1 and level 2. I already have people signed up for that. And that's it. Continue making content. I'm making a lot of new content. I'm putting it all on my website because basically YouTube has, basically my videos are taken down because they're considered violent. Today, I made a video on multiple attackers, just and I'm explaining it, but I can't teach it anymore. Like this weekend, I filmed 20 videos. Defense against a beer bottle, defense against like I got like questions from people, but if I put them up,
Okay.
basically YouTube just strikes me. So you know what? I put them on my website. And
Let's
that's
get your
it.
website just so people. Let's get the website.
It's
What is it?
nickdrossos.com.
So okay, all right, that's easy.
Yeah, it's just this. Yeah.
.com. Okay, and I'm going to be putting that down, of course, as well for people. And
Yeah.
but people, I mean, but obviously you have a bunch of stuff on YouTube still.
Yeah.
And the YouTube channel, I'll post that. I definitely want to, get people to check you out. And people that are watching, I highly recommend you check out his videos. Whether or not he's quote unquote FMA, I don't think that's relevant.
At the end, guys, and this is what I'm not saying this talking to the FMA guys or any guy out there. At the end, think about it, right? At the end, it's your life, and it's not going to be a title that's going to save
Right, so
you.
it's not gonna matter. Well, you weren't taught by an FMA guy. You were by at the end. You want what's gonna freaking save your butt and get you home. You know what I mean?
That's it. So don't, you know what I mean? Don't. And if your instructor shames you for,
No,
they should be encouraging you to go out and try and explore different
absolutely.
martial
Here's the
arts.
thing, and I tell you, I'm very honest with my students because I just again I tell them like I love FMA. I love the sword and the tradition and all that, and stick fighting and all that. But I said when it comes to knife, you guys, some of this stuff has gotten kind of lost. I'm gonna go. There's other methods out there that are better. Offensively, FMA knife, scary. You know what I mean? But defensively, some of the stuff it's questionable. And I think where your tactics and your like the 2-on-1 we do, where it's not quote unquote maybe traditionally like FMA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Better.
Then you got to put students through reality, right? So I want to, like I said, I want to make it as hard as possible for them in the training, so when they
Oh,
get
God
on the street,
forbid.
they don't freak out.
Yeah, or they melt, right? Because our peers get so overwhelmed, like their physical application or what they thought they were going to apply is out the window because they
But
can't even. They're so unraveled up here, from the stress and the overload up here. Getting back to that stress inoculation, why I think it's so critical to have that in your training for the students. You know what I mean? Yeah. Again, but this is absolutely wonderful. Again, I want to thank you so much for for coming on, and I know
thank
because
you, Dean.
I know you got a bunch of clients. I know you're busy and all that. So I'm glad that we're able to get you for
Dean, it was honestly, I really enjoyed this interview, and I think it was very good, and I think it's important. And if I leave with one message out of this, with the
Oh,
people
please
that are
do.
watching, is, um, you know, question everything you see. It's your right. It's your life, man. You know what I mean? Question it, train it,
God,
pressure test it.
holy.
You know what I mean? Explore, go out, and it doesn't mean you're disrespecting a system if you go out and you train with somebody else.
Here's
You
the
know what I
thing.
mean?
If you don't, I think you're kind of sort of disrespecting yourself and your journey. You're the most important piece. Like questions. I tell my students all the time. And a matter of fact, what I tell my students? Don't look. Don't believe everything I'm telling you. I mean, like you need to test this out. Well, but we do it in class. But I'm saying, like, fine, you know,
If
don't.
you want to test it out, I tell people put on a helmet, right? The best way to test it out without getting hurt is go see a buddy of yours,
Yeah,
one that you know is a little bit of a, a little bit of a badass and like that tough guy. Say, you know what? I'm gonna give you this rubber knife. I want you to attack me. How? I want you to attack me until I trap it, and I'm
yeah,
only allowed to trap. Let's see how fast you're gonna trap it,
I know.
and
Yeah,
don't stop until you trap it. And do a scenario, but that's the only way you'll know.
I'm telling you, it's so true, Brian. I know, Boudin. I took that SEAL as a professor, and I was impressed with the night defense. I thought, dare I say, yeah. I'm not surprised. Great stuff, gentlemen. Yes, it was.
Thank you, Brian.
But again, I want to thank you so much. Hopefully, this is not the last. We.
Absolutely not, Dean. I really enjoyed it. Actually, I think it was. I think it was. I mean, we touched upon a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's important for viewers to know what they're learning and picking up.
No. So I mean, obviously, I definitely would like to stay in touch with you. Obviously, we have very similar mindset, so it's kind of refreshing. You know what I mean? So you'll probably, needless to say, you'll be hearing from me.
That's great, Dean. Man, I enjoyed this. So hopefully we'll do more collabs. Maybe even get to train together one day.
Oh, I
And
would love that when
that's
this
it. That'd be awesome.
miserable situation, ends, and also just for folks who, you have a podcast just for folks, right?
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah, it's called the Warrior Mindset Podcast.
Okay,
The Warrior Mindset. It's on
Warrior.
my website. When they go to my website, they scroll
You'll
all
see.
the way on the
Okay,
bottom.
okay.
They're going to see it.
Okay, Warrior Mindset. Okay, fabulous. Okay. All right, sir. Thank you so much, Nick.
Dean, thank you very much, guys. Thank you, and we'll stay in touch for sure.
No, please do. Please do. Okay. Take care.
All right, I'm up.
Be safe. All right, folks. Granted, not an FMA guy, so not getting the number of likes and all that. I'm gonna put it on YouTube, but however, realistic truth and all that, A+. So yeah, to me, it's not the name sometimes or how popular they are, and I think this was kind of proof in the pudding. Big fan of Nick. I just think he's doing great stuff out there. I highly recommend you guys to check out his YouTube channel. I'm going to put this stuff down and the website, which is basically www.nickdrossos.com. He's on Facebook as well and all that. This Thursday, I'm going to confirm, but I think maybe Roger Agulis from Lameco, which I am so excited to get a Lameco guy on here. So hopefully that's going to work. I just got to confirm with him. And all that. For those of you who chimed in and commented and questioned, I appreciate it. And hopefully I'm going to see you guys Thursday with Roger Goulis. Take care.